Another chilly morning, but at least it's Friday. Praise the Lord and pass the ammunition. We're still growing. We could grow faster, but the content that I put up, I'm somewhat selective about. As far as, once in a while I'll throw something in there that's going to attract extra views that our regular, long-standing Gorilla with a Cause family members realize that I could do without. I could leave it out. But you understand what it is. And even then, I'm not going to go but so far. I'm not going to go out there and get into a whole bunch of argumentative stuff and, whatever the current clickbait topic is, I try to avoid. But once in a while, I'll throw something out there kind of lighthearted, because it's okay to have fun too. Everything doesn't have to always be serious. And I'm trying to just wave a flag and say, hey, we're over here, in the hopes that of the people it attracts, which a lot of them are going to be knuckleheads, maybe the majority. And that's okay, because you're going to have to wade through there. You got to wade through there, and then you scoop the turds out of the pool once they're discovered, as they're discovered, because they'll pollute everything, can't leave them in there. And they won't tend to hang around long anyway, I wouldn't expect, because there's not a lot here for them. We're looking for like-minded, kindred individuals, males, females. And I'm going to say it again, and those of you that have been around a long time and already know the drill, you well know this because you're already engaged. But with all the incoming people now, I don't know that they all realize, what we do here, the purpose of this channel, what Gorilla with a Cause is. Because make no mistake, if you eliminate Gorilla with a Cause from the equation, if you take the cause away, there's no James Tiny Vest YouTube channel. Believe that. That's gone in an instant. There's no point in it for me. It's not just about stroking my ego or, you get a lot of new people come on here and they think that I have a bigorexia or some kind of thing like this. And they believe, I guess, literally no one that likes to be, I'm not going to pull your leg about it, likes to be a little bit more testosterone driven or a little bit, rougher. I mean, there are things that I do that I use this muscle for. Believe that. And I'm comfortable, and it's my body. It's my body. You understand? So, I don't understand that. But the whole point to it all is Gorilla with a Cause. I'm the guy you see most of the time. I'm the guy, the spokesman, right? So that's my gig. And if we're trying to propel this thing forward, and there's a lot of things in the works, and there are offers and things that are on the table, none of them really pan out very far because we're all working class guys with families, children, all these other things. Not me, mine, she's full grown, married, child of her own, whole 9 yards. But the younger guys, they have wife and kids, all that stuff, responsibilities. So there have been offers for really great things that you would think that I would jump on in an instant. But we don't have the ability to put our lives on hold to dedicate a lot of time, towards trying something like that. So the money has to be there. And what's the whole point behind the money? More huge things we'd love to do as Gorilla with a Cause, but we just don't have the money to do them. Now, if we had the money, I've told you before, like the camp and, all this other stuff, we could almost move mountains if we had the funding, because it's coin of the realm here. That's what you have to get things done to a degree. On that scale, you definitely need it. But the whole point to Gorilla with a Cause, the cause, is to try to become a more humane human, to try to be a more humane being, to not leave the humanity out of being a human being, as our society seems to encourage people to do today, either by design or just by default. That's what it appears to be. We've got a lot of craziness going on. People seem to care less and less about one another. They recognize little connection to their fellow man or woman or child even, unfortunately. And just a lot of bad shit happens. And it's the bad stuff that gets all the headlines. You can see that right here, even on, YouTube. Small little glimpse into the world here. You can see it on YouTube. The people that put up hate and drama, they get a lot of views. People are drawn to that. People that are putting up things about, that are probably good or have good intentions behind them, they may not get as many views, especially in this fitness community area. That is what it is. But we, as Gorilla with a Cause, are just concentrating on becoming better people, making ourselves better. And it doesn't mean that we're better than anybody else in particular. It just means we recognize our flaws and we're not happy about it. We own it. And we would like to continue to evolve, to become better people. Simple as that. We're not completely grown inside, okay? Emotionally, spiritually, right? So we're trying to become better people. And we do that with a number of ways, any way that works for you. The main thing is just to become conscious of it. That's the first step, and to have the desire to improve. But we do it through like our 5 random acts of kindness a day, where hopefully I have encouraged you, and hopefully I can remember to do it every day. And it is a struggle. It's not easy for me. I go out into the world. I work in a city. It's tough for me. It's hard for me. I mean, what do you think my background is? I'm not some guy from some cushy, bubble type of atmosphere where, I'm not some soft, cushy type of fucking guy with a history of, singing Kumbaya and shaking a tambourine and walking around preaching peace and love by any means. I've never been a person full of hate, that's for sure. But the point is, society as it is today and what you have to move through just in your day-to-day, it can be very trying depending on where you are. It can be very trying. So you try to stay cognizant of your desire to improve, and you try and keep a lid on the darker aspects or facets of your personality maybe. And the 5 random acts of kindness, that just simply is when you get up in the morning, you try to remember, put a note on your mirror or something. That's what I have. So I see it. I go in to brush my teeth, I see it. And then it's still sometimes a chore to remember to do it. 5 random acts of kindness means you want to go out with the intention that day of attempting to commit 5 random acts of kindness to strangers that you otherwise would not have done. And it doesn't matter what level you're on. I mean, it can be something as simple as holding the door for someone, because unfortunately in our society today, people don't even always hold the door for each other anymore. They let the door drop on the guy behind them or a woman behind them. Now, if you already do all these things and you have a really good upbringing and you're a really good person and you're polite and you're kind and considerate, that's awesome. That's awesome. But we all fall short. Therefore, we can all endeavor to do better and be better. So wherever you're at, those 5 random acts of kindness should be above and beyond that. But it can be simple things. It can be a kind word to someone that could use it. It could be words of encouragement to someone. It could be, carrying an elderly or infirm person's groceries when you would otherwise figure, I don't have the time to do that, I got someplace to be or whatever. I will actually make it a point to do some of these things. It's almost a natural thing. It's not that hard. But sometimes it's hard to stay on track and remember that that's worthwhile. And that's what it's about. And that's how you improve, one day at a time. So every day you're not going to commit 5 probably. You won't even remember it. I don't always, but it's there. And then the other thing is my little mantra, and it's just a suggestion, however you can deal with it. Traffic can be irritating to me. Like I said, I go to work in the city. So I try to keep that from getting inside. I try not to let that in. So, and I learned this from Val. So when I drive, a lot of times if I feel myself getting frustrated People are being disrespectful in ways that you know damn well they wouldn't be in a face-to-face, one-to-one encounter. Okay? They're not going to walk up to you, sidle up to you, next to you when you're getting a cup of hot chocolate or coffee at a counter somewhere, and they're not going to come up and just brush you aside and push you aside to get in there. It's never, ever happened, right? It's not going to happen. But they'll do it when they get behind the wheel of a car, right? They'll basically do that. They'll be completely disrespectful. However, I try to say my little mantra: peace begins with me. Peace begins with me. 4. Peace begins with me. Peace begins with me. And I'll have my hand in my lap, while I'm driving the car with the other hand, and I'll be, peace begins with me. Peace begins with me. And I'll say it however many times I have to say it until I feel it, and whatever negativity I was feeling has dissipated. And it works. So it's all these kind of things. And the no bystander mentality, which is the basis for, pretty much what we believe. It encapsulates it in just a phrase. No bystander on the back of our shirts. What that represents is, hopefully someday people will recognize that if they see that, no bystander, they realize that that's a proclamation that you're making, letting society know that you're not a bystander, that you identify your place in the universe, in the world, within humanity, and your relationship, and the value in being awake and taking the blinders off and actually interacting, being engaged with humanity, the rest of humanity. And so if you were to see or observe an injustice occur within your auspice, at a minimum, you're going to speak out against it. You will point it out and decry it. It can be something just as small as, hey man, that's not right. Or hey, that's not cool. Right? To your comfort level. Now today we have some horrible things going on, even here in Pennsylvania, unbelievably. Just in the past 2 weeks, or 3 weeks, we had a fellow with palsy at a gas station walk in, a younger guy, 22, 23 years old, walks behind him, starts mocking the way that the guy with palsy walks, making fun of him, tormenting him. It all on closed circuit camera. It's on the internet. The guy came out, and when the guy came out, the guy with palsy still walking up and down, making fun of him. At some point, he had approached him and got in his face and pushed him. So the guy with palsy turns and says something to him. Can't hear what he said. Maybe he called him, an a-hole or whatever. I don't know. But whatever he said to him, the other guy deserved it. Yeah, right? And the guy heard that and approached the man with palsy and punched him in the face. When they caught up with the guy, the assailant, when they finally caught up with him, authorities, they found in his possession, at his apartment or whatever house, wherever the hell he lives, that he had medals and memorial-related veteran items that he had removed from graveyards and tombstones and memorials and things. So, great guy, but they have him. And then yesterday or the day before, in I believe it was Philadelphia, 3 kids at a bus stop, special needs man walking by, and they see him and they start mocking him, and they caught on camera again. They filmed this and put it up themselves. Like that's the thing to do. They're so proud of this. And the man walked up to the fellow with, the autistic fella. One of the 3 teenagers walks up to him and just punches him in the face like 3 times really hard. And the guy falls against an ATM and down the side of the wall and puts his hands up. And he's just terrified, and he's hurt, and he's holding his jaw. He got him at least one really good shot out of, none of these guys can really punch. But it's not like they're formally trained fighters or anything, And then the 3 kids are laughing about it and mocking him. So the fella, the special needs fella, he manages to come up to his feet, leaning against the wall, the building, and tries to make his way away, looking at the people, terrified. Looked like he was crying. And then what happens? One of the other guys who was just with the 3, but not the assailant, he decides, well, I'm going to get some of this too. Since this guy received some kind of, affirmative reward for his behavior, I'm going to get some. So he approaches the man, starts talking shit to him, and he goes to punch him and hits him with a glancing blow. Like I said, these guys fortunately really can't fight, and then hits him again and does catch him, and drops him again. So these kind of horrible things happen now, where apparently it's in vogue to assault special needs people, handicapped people, elderly people. Elderly people have been victimized routinely, but I live out here in a rural area, hugely rural in PA, and it's very peaceful and tranquil, and there are many good people. But the cities, and I know there's many good people in the cities, but because there's so many people concentrated in an area, you have all kinds of people, and you're more likely to have the bad people. You're gonna see it more because it's highly concentrated. You'll see them, and they're there. And with Gorilla with a Cause, we want to try and spin the world around, flip it over, where instead of the bad things that happen receiving all the press and they should receive press, but rather than them getting all the attention, let's try and give some attention to something worthwhile. Let's try to promote being a good person is awesome. Being a better person, treating people correctly is a good thing to be. We go out, we feed people, we clothe people, like I've always said, like it says on the website. If you're cold, we give you a blanket. If you don't have any shoes, we give you some shoes. If you're hungry, we give you a sandwich. Now, the busters can say, well, systemically, you're not really solving anything. Well, I'm not equipped to solve these huge problems permanently, but what I have done is I've just intervened into a particular situation for an individual and corrected it at that moment. If a man's hungry and I hand him something to eat, he's not hungry anymore. If he's cold and I give him a blanket, he's not cold anymore. If he doesn't have any shoes and I give him a pair of shoes, he's got shoes now on his feet. You understand? And with all the people in this country, if we each did, a little bit of what we could to our comfort level, you don't think this place would be a lot nicer place to live? I think it would. So with everything that goes on, that's what we're about, and that's what matters. All the other stuff, all this is just window dressing, man. This is just something we share in common. The fitness thing or the weight training thing. We have a lot of fighters on here. I have a fighting background myself. We have lots of military, lots of law enforcement on here. So we have an incredible membership, which I've met many of. If you doubt that, go to the Facebook page. Go to our Facebook, Gorilla with a Cause Facebook, and you'll see that much of the conversation. You'll see there are lots of military guys and women, lots of men and women in law enforcement from all over the world. So we, and you don't have to be anybody like that. You could be a fireman, or you can be in the medical field, or you don't have to be a person that's a civil servant. You could just be a regular guy. You could be a kid that's been bullied in school. You could be, the little fat kid that overcompensated and grew up to be a big muscular dude. That's what most of us are. And it's nothing to be ashamed of, and it's nothing to hide. It should be put out there. All of us were pretty much either the little skinny kid, the sickly kid. I had leg braces, scoliosis, or the little fat kid, or just a kid that didn't have any confidence or any belief in himself or esteem. And we grew up to become what we become. But now it's time to become vulnerable, so that people that are in the place we were in at one time, we found our way. We found a solution. Whether it was the best one or not, it's the solution we found, and it worked to deliver us here. And we're not victims today by any means. Nobody looks at us as a potential victim, when we're out and about. But they look at other people. There are people out there that are viewed as potential victims by the bad people. And we need to let those people that are in the situations and positions that we once occupied, they don't identify with us when they see us, And we need to let them know, hey, we're here and we are you. We are you. We're not any kind of special elite creation, out of the womb. We are you, man. We know what it feels like, brother, and your family, That's what it's about. So when you wear the no bystander shirt, no bystander emblazoned on the back of it with the Gorilla with the Cause logo, That says to folks like this, hey, if you don't have a friend in Jesus, or if you don't think you do, you got a friend right here. You have a friend right here, or I wouldn't have the shirt on. That shirt is an obligation. You know, if you need something, if you feel you're alone, if you feel nobody cares, man, you don't have anybody to talk to. That's what that's offering. That's what that's saying to the world. So that's what's important. The rest of this stuff, you know, the rest of this stuff is just a hobby. Like I've said a million times, it's a hobby. It's not what I'm addicted to. What I'm addicted to now is trying to become a better person. You know, I don't always fare that well, but I'm trying, and that's a place to start. And it's more than most do, unfortunately, today. So we ought to stick together, man, and one person at a time. We can make things better. We can make a difference. You can make a difference. I know it, and I see it. So that's it. That's what we're about. And if you're not down with that, if you disagree with any of that, then there's no need for you to really be here at all. There's no need.